Hi, it's Helen with So Kind of Wonderful, and we are going to talk and sew up our patchworks for butterfly number 2. And butterfly number 2 is called the Windmill butterfly. You can see it has windmill patchwork in the wings, and this is a really easy method for sewing half square triangles and making the windmill patchwork. So let's get to it. All right, this is all about number 2 windmill butterfly patchwork block. Here we're making 2 windmill blocks. When we sew them together, we're going to make them so they are a reflection of each other, and I'll talk about that. And this is just a series of half square triangles. So for starters, we need to figure out, and the pattern tells us you need 8 of one color and 8 of another. And you're going to get 16 half square triangles out of these blocks. If you're ever, like, it can be confusing how many half square triangles, how many parts you need to make half square triangles. So count, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2. So I need 16. So I need to start with 16 pieces of fabric. 8 of one color, 8 of another. So I'm going to do the diagonal tape method for sewing these. I'm not going to draw a diagonal line on the back. I could, and then I can sew a 1/4 inch on each side. But I can also go to my sewing machine, and I have a 1/4 inch mark there, my diagonal seam tape, and I'll just keep the corner on the 1/4 inch mark, and I'll sew in each side of that. And this will really speed up the process. So I just try to be consistent, and I'm going to put the purple one on top. Here's my diagonal seam tape, and I'm keeping this point here on the black outer edge. And then I pick up my next one. All right, I have all of them done, and I'm just starting the square up process. So these are pretty square. I'm just gonna line up 2 sides on the 2 inch marks, and then turn it and just trim off those little tails. So I'm going to do that with all 16. And then I'll come back and show you layout. All of my half square triangles are squared up. And now we're making a windmill. And when I was doing some research on butterflies, the one thing that kept showing up was that the wings in butterflies are they're a copy. So they're a reflection of each other. And it's a quilt. I know it doesn't really matter. I'm just telling you. If you want to make these so that they're a reflection, then we set one up and then we do one the opposite direction, which is different than just rotating it on this one. So I'm just looking in the book. It takes me a minute to kind of like I'm spatially looking here. Let me zoom out. You can see I'm looking here, just trying to get that windmill shape, those blades that go out. And so I'm looking here, trying to line up the purples so they make a blade. The purple fabric is a teeny bit directional, this plummy one. It's so slight, I don't think you're really going to notice it. If you want to focus on that, oh, you definitely should. We always say you should focus on, you know, but now it's starting to mess with, I'm not going to worry about it. However it lays out. Okay, so this is one way. So now to get the other side, I'm doing the opposite. It's easier for me to look at the picture than try to figure out the opposite. You're making these blades that come off. I did get to go see a windmill in Amsterdam, and very cool. If you get a chance, of course, everybody, you know, would love to see a windmill. It was very, very delightful to go see it. And they were making paint. It was one that they were crushing stones and making paint out of the pigments they were crushing. All right. Rotate. Okay, these are set up as a mirror image, meaning when we sew these together, if we put them like this, all the seams will match. If we pick this up and lay it here, they won't all match, but you can tell it's a reflection. Okay, so now I'm just going to go sew just like I did last time. I'm sewing, you know, sew it into rows and then sew rows together. Nest seams. In fact, I'll show the sewing because it's a good method. All right, for this method, I'm not going to cut my threads apart. I'm just picking up these first two, lay the middle one over onto the first one in the row. Seams are all pressed open. And then stop and then pick up your next pair in the second row. Put the center one over on the outside edge. And then the bottom pair, the bottom first two of that bottom row. And turn that middle one over. And now I cut my threads and then pull it back down and go back to the top row and then position. And obviously we're taking care not to flip those blocks around, although it's still easy to do. The mystery of quilting. Here, flip over. And then the last one. All right, now I'm not going to press yet. I'm just going to rotate the block. Check, did I sew them all correctly? Yes. So now I will flip the outside one onto the center column. sewing, and I'm going to nest my seams. I'm going to flip one direction and the other one, and then I'm going to just do the opposite way down here. Just make sure that they're nested. Okay. And then rotate it and flip that last column over, and then check on the back. Remind yourself, okay, so that bottom seam is going down, so the top seam goes up. And then you can feel that seam nesting. And then for here, the bottom seam is away from me and the top seam is laying down towards me. And now I'm going to clip those little loops that I didn't cut when we assembled, because next step is that last seam we sewed, we want to press that one open. And then we'll lay all the others to the side. All right, I went ahead and sewed, and you can see how it is a reflection. So you can see how it's, you know, the same, but if we lay it together, all points match. But here it looks like it's in a mirror. You see on the back, so the first set of seams got pressed to the side, and then the column seams are pressed open. All right, so that is number 2 windmill butterfly. So now you're ready to assemble and make all the curves.